Welcome to the Programming Lions podcast. Ever think about mixing comedy and politics? Well, today we have Jobob with us. He has spent nearly a decade as a political consultant and communications director for various campaigns. In 2021, he started hosting the Daily Caller Live, bringing humor and news with his unique, sarcastic style. Now, as a Turning Point USA contributor, Jobob adds a comedic element to the conservative movement. We have a lot of fun with him on this show, so let's get into it. All right, well, let's get this started. Jobob has joined the Programming Lions podcast. We're excited to have you on the show. We know that you're a Turning Point contributor, a comedian. You run the Daily Caller Live show, and so we want to hear more about all of this. But the boys will kick us off. They have some good questions they've lined up for you. So
cool.
Thanks for taking time with us.
I
Thanks
really
for
do
having
not
me.
like bananas.
Wow, that was random.
Bold
So-
stance.
Yes. So,
The anti-banana movement has entered the chat.
alright. So, Jobob is a very unique name.
Depends on where you're from, but continue.
But how did you get that? How did it happen?
So Polynesian culture. My dad is Samoan. You, in a lot of cases, combine the grandparents' names. His dad and my mom's dad. And so they did that with me. Unfortunately, my grandparents combined into like a hillbilly Alabama backwoods name, which is how you get Jobob. It's legally on my birth certificate. A lot of people think like, this is like a nickname. No, it's legally on there. Now, the only reason I don't go by my legal name is because that is Malosi, which is not any easier. And, you know, I think my cousins started just calling me Jobob when I was like, I don't know, a kid, and then it just stuck. So that's how you get
Well, it's memorable. I mean,
it's a funny name. Also, it's a good name. I like it.
Well, it's memorable, and unfortunately, though, people don't forget it, which I guess is a good thing. But then I forget everybody's name, and so hey, Jobob, and I go, hey, you.
Hey.
I do. If you know any other Jobobs, I probably have more teeth than them, though.
Really?
Less overalls in my closet.
Yeah. You probably have more product in your hair, too, than
Probably.
most Jobobs. Yeah.
Well, depends on what you quantify as product. Sweat and insect repellent, if that counts as product, I might not be first.
Yeah. Well, there's definitely some Jobobs in the South, Max.
Jobob.
Yeah.
Silly name. Imagine like a superhero being like, Jobob. That would be so cool.
I would not be afraid of that superhero. Like, oh no, we're doomed.
Jobob.
Cool.
Anyway,
Yeah.
so going now into the more serious topics, right?
Ooh.
So, how did you get into comedy and somehow mix it with politics?
So, I'm going to try and keep this brief. I've been in politics for a really long time, running campaigns. After the 2020 election, I decided, I'm going to take a crack at this, like, on-camera stuff. I've been doing, like, open mics, which, if you don't know, are, like, anybody can kind of get up and try their hand at stand-up comedy. So I've been doing that for a while. And circa 2021, I started doing videos in my garage. And then I got picked up by the Daily Caller, just out of happenstance, just kind of Daily Caller. If you don't know, you guys know who Tucker Carlson is?
Yeah.
So he founded the Daily Caller with his college roommate back in like 2010. So I got to be on the Daily Caller from creating videos in my garage, and then somehow got invited to a Turning Point thing and started doing stuff with Turning Point. And I think you guys will like this story a little bit. Okay, do you know who Matt Walsh is?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So, there was an event. I was walking by the staff room where all of the Turning Point staff was. Matt Walsh was supposed to be the headliner at this event because this was during his What is a Woman movie.
Okay, yeah, we've seen that.
He was about an hour late because he's going all over the place, doing press, all that sort of stuff. And Charlie says, hey, Matt's going to be an hour late. Can you get up on stage in front of 1,500 people and stall for 20 minutes?
No pressure, though.
And I nodded and said, no, but I will. And so that was probably, again, I'd been doing open mics for a really long time, but that was the first big, oh boy, here we go. There's a lot of people here. And fortunately, it ended up going pretty well. Charlie I was told was backstage liking it. There's a certain attitude with political events and political speakers. When people think of like a political speech, they kind of think intense and like a lot of, boom, boom, boom. Charlie would make very funny jokes on when he does speeches, and sometimes people weren't in the right headspace to laugh at those jokes because he's such a matter-of-fact speaker.
Yeah.
And so because of that, I think he had the wherewithal to say, hey, let's bring a comedian on the road with us. And I have now been on tour with Charlie for about 3 years, opening the college events, and I hope to be kind of like the lighthearted opening so that people are kind of put more at ease, so that when Charlie does make an objectively funny joke, people laugh.
Right.
Like I've seen him.
Like it's okay to laugh.
Yeah, it is okay to laugh.
Yeah,
Even though he's very serious and he's very matter of fact, he still does have funny jokes. And if people aren't in the right headspace to receive a joke, it'll just go right over their head. They won't hear it. My kind of role has been to like get people in the right headspace to actually laugh when Charlie is funny, which he is a lot more often than people I think.
Yeah. Okay, very interesting.
I heard that comedy is kind of getting canceled. And so that's bad. It's like, is it getting canceled? And also, I saw that Jimmy, I forgot his last name, but he cried over the election results.
Jimmy Kimmel?
Yeah. He cried over the election.
Did you see that where Jimmy Kimmel cried? He got on stage like, it's all over. They're gonna take us all away. Yeah. Anyway.
Jeez,
Did he mean it, or was it a joke?
I don't know. It was pretty serious. Yeah.
It was actually sad.
It was sad.
I felt bad for him. As much as you want to laugh out of like,
so embarrassing.
Yeah, it was kind of like, dude, this is how you actually feel. Sorry, was there a question or just more like talk
just
about?
More about, is comedy at risk of getting
yeah.
canceled because you gotta be so careful about what you say?
I would have had a different answer a couple of years ago. So, okay, you guys probably too young to be aware of how the gatekeepers used to work in terms of letting people onto platforms. Okay, before YouTube, before X, before Instagram, before all the social media platforms, there were 3 channels. There was CBS, ABC, NBC, and those people were able to either allow somebody on or not allow them on, effectively, quote-unquote, canceling them.
Yeah.
Fortunately, right now, we are in a world where we've cut out the middleman, right? You don't have to exactly go to whatever platform that the media oligarchs, sorry for the big words, but the media people want you to. You can kind of just go direct to consumer. Right, so there's a lot of people in comedy that don't have to deal with getting canceled because they can just go directly to their audience. And if their audience doesn't like it, that's a whole different thing. That just you might just not be funny.
Yeah.
And that's fine because sometimes you bomb, sometimes you have a great set. But at the end of the day, because there's the lack of like a middleman, you kind of get that direct access to the audience, right? Like if I'm going to send you a comedy clip, right, I don't have to get approved by the guy over there. I can just go directly to you and you can either watch it or you cannot watch it. So we're fortunately in a position where the technology has gotten to a point and the audience capture has gotten to a point where I think comedy's in a good place. And two, I think every comic will tell you, if you're not kind of coming up on the edge and tiptoeing off of it, you're not going to be funny. So there's always that necessity in comedy, and fortunately we've kind of got around the gatekeepers, at least for now. Things may change, but you never know.
Yeah, you never know.
I appreciate conservative comedians because I feel like they can use satire and mockery in clever ways. But like when I saw like this Jimmy Kimmel thing, for like, I agree with you, it was sad. I'm thinking, wait a minute, this guy's like an entertainer. He's like a late night host, comedian, entertainer, and he's like sobbing on TV over an election result. It's so weird. Like when did this stuff happen? But
when the election was over.
Nonetheless, we hope comedy's not under attack because it's like such a great avenue to sometimes like mock things that are happening in society in a way that like makes people think, oh yeah, that is kind of crazy.
Well, comedy. Not to like go like super in depth on the construction of a joke, but comedy is something true said in a different way. Right. Like, I can't think of anything specific right now, but this table is a table, and it'll always be a table. But if I come up with an interesting way to call this a table, it'll be funny because we all recognize that this is a table. Yeah. And so that's what makes things funny. And so there's always going to be an element of truth to comedy.
It is a
Table.
It is in fact a table.
Do you see?
that was See, that was funny, Max.
Yeah.
All right,
Going,
what do you got?
a little bit further from what Dad said about mocking and stuff, do you think it is okay to mock the left sometimes?
Oh no. You're gonna get me in trouble. Is it okay? I think the question is it acceptable to let them do what they're doing without mocking them? In other words, not only is it okay, it's almost a priority.
Yeah.
Like see, the thing is, like, the stuff that the left is currently doing, they've gone so far off the deep end that you really don't even have to make jokes. You can just say, hey, this is what they said. And then people have to guess, okay, did they actually say this, or is this a Babylon Bee headline? Seth Dillon at the Babylon Bee has the hardest job in the world because he's trying to make something more an exaggeration than what they're already doing to themselves.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think not only is it okay, you have an obligation, I think, to make fun of bad ideas, not in a demeaning way. So I'll say this, I never make fun of people. I
Yeah.
will make fun of their ideas all the time.
Yeah, actually, I love that practice because what have we talked about, guys? The same thing. We put out some satire and mockery of the left.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like we just put one out yesterday where you were like,
Pay back.
conservative logic, I take out a loan, I pay it back. Liberal logic, I take out a loan, and you pay it back.
Yeah.
And they went bananas. They usually do anytime we do something like that. And again, we're not making fun of any specific individual, so we kind of have
Yeah.
the same policy. Like, we're not going to call out individuals. Maybe like prominent individuals like a Biden. It's hard not to, or Kamala
Yeah.
or whatever. But we definitely like will pick at ideas because like I agree with you. Like they need to be mocked, so people are like, wait, that is crazy, right?
And the easier something is to mock, generally speaking, the worse idea it is.
Yeah.
And let me rephrase, because I do pick on people, but it has to be clear and evident that they're lying to you.
Yeah.
Like if somebody genuinely, honestly just has a different opinion, look, they have a different opinion, make fun of the idea. But if, they make a couple $1 million on MSNBC saying things that they know to be true. Yeah, that's when I'll get
yes,
to like,
yes.
all right, Joy Reid.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you're not.
It's-
You're
The
too
View,
smarter.
Joy, yeah.
You're too smart to actually believe this.
Yeah.
And I say that with all due respect, actually. Like some of those people are very intelligent, and because of that, I know you're lying. There's
Yeah.
no way that you actually believe this.
Speaking of intelligence, I saw a clip. I don't think the boys saw this, but you have a theory that Hunter Biden actually is super intelligent. You want to explain this to us?
Because
let's
he's
listen.
gotten away with it for so many years.
Yeah.
That's the thing. When you think of a movie with a villain, right?
Oh, Spider-Man.
Okay, so is the villain a dumb guy or is he criminal mastermind?
Criminal mastermind.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like maybe Hunter Biden, and again, I'm kidding. I don't actually think he's very smart. But in the joke, right, Hunter Biden might be a criminal mastermind because
Yeah.
he's gotten away with all of this stuff
Yeah.
and has become rich because of it and avoided all types of punishments.
Yeah.
So maybe that means that he's smarter than we all give him credit for.
And I think that was before he was even pardoned. So now his intelligence is really showing because now he's scot-free for anything he's ever done.
What
Guys,
would you have
great shape.
done? Because when the pardon came out, Hunter had like 6 hours of still pardon, right?
Yeah.
So it came out on it was like December 9th, and it was like anything from January 2014 or whatever year it was to January or December 9th. But it came out in the middle of the day, so he technically had like 6 hours where the feds, he could do anything and the feds wouldn't prosecute him.
Yeah.
What would you do? Would you rob a bank?
Oh,
This is bad. Don't get any ideas.
here, hold on.
So
Let
many
me
good
think.
I go
Uh,
35. I go 35 and a 30. See what just happens.
Whoa.
You know, he avoided a lot of stuff. It's not a bad argument.
I actually have a joke for you.
Okay.
Yes, and I need you to tell me if it's funny. And then when I'm
I'm
done,
going to be brutally honest.
yeah. And then when I'm done, if you do,
You won't hurt his feelings.
If you do not get it correct, I'm just gonna look at the camera for to make it seem really cool and
Okay.
dun dun, right?
Which is
anyway.
this a joke or a quiz?
It's a joke.
Okay.
So, what is the most racist type of math?
I feel like there's a pun to this. The most racist type of math?
Yeah.
I don't know. Whatever they're teaching in the Chicago school system?
Close.
Division. Yeah. it.
I could see that. I like that. When you tell a joke and it doesn't work, it's called bombing. And you want to know the worst time that I've ever bombed, ever?
Let's hear it. Yeah.
The first time that I was speaking in front of Charlie Kirk. I was like pretty brand new to this, and I think this was like after actually I'm not sure when in the timeline of my Turning Point history this was, but it was like a regional conference. They'd given me 30 minutes to speak, and then I think there was somebody after me, and then Charlie. But remember that headspace that I was telling you everybody's in? Everybody's in kind of like a headspace of, political speaker, matter-of-fact guy, really, really on the nose in terms of what he's saying and what the mission he's trying to accomplish. And I got up there and I made jokes with no context whatsoever. And I had 30 minutes. In my head, I had 30 minutes of material. At like minute 17, I was out of stuff to say because nobody laughed the entire time. I was sweating so bad. But what I learned from that is that you have to set the proper context.
Yeah.
Because if people don't know you're going to do comedy and you do comedy, they're going to be like, what is this? Why is this happening right now?
Yeah.
I don't understand. I'm here to see a political speech. What are you doing? So now when we're on the road, I start off with like something along the lines of, in a couple minutes, Charlie Kirk is going to present an articulate defense of conservative and Western values. I, on the other hand, am going to make some ridiculous analogies and attempt to do a similar thing.
Okay.
And that kind of sets the mood a little bit. But that was the worst time that I've ever just been on stage just sweating bullets waiting for it to be over.
That's
I'm
gotta be
surprised you weren't fired.
Honest to God, I am too. There are a couple times where I've pushed the boundaries and been like, I hope I don't get in trouble for this one. But fortunately, there's some forgiveness, there's some grace, which is good.
That's
good to
good.
have.
Yeah, that's got to be a tough feeling. I can imagine as a comedian because you're up there and it's
There's
just
nothing
you're
worse.
alone. There's nobody going to save you.
No.
You're there, and if it's not funny and or it just doesn't hit right, it's like wow.
Well, what's really interesting about the comedy world, and again, stop me if this is not like an interesting rabbit hole to go down. But do you guys play baseball?
No.
Do you understand? Well, what sport do you play?
Football.
Football. Okay. If you're playing on... Do you ever play on fields that are not exactly the best in terms of
There's
just like...
a bead field.
A what?
There's like beads in the field.
Okay, so it's like
whenever
turf.
you fell, it was like...
Gotcha. So the analogy here is like in like sports that you're playing growing up, sometimes there are some limiting factors on the field or the court that you're playing on. In other words, like if you're playing pee-wee football, there could be a big old clump of grass that missed the lawnmower cut and you could trip on that.
Right.
In the NFL, that doesn't happen, right?
Right.
Because their fields are pristine and calm, and you're not going to get a bad hop or anything like that.
Yeah.
It's a very similar thing in comedy. The most difficult time is when you're just starting off
Right.
and there's open mics and nobody's actually listening to you. It's hard to get attention. But then when you get to a bigger, higher level, the most recent show I did was in Billings, Montana, and it was like a 650-seat theater.
Yeah.
And it was packed. And I'm not saying that my bar is lowered, but those people are there to laugh. They are watching me.
Yeah.
And so it becomes easier the higher up you get on the totem pole. Same like in football, the higher up you go, if you go to a Division I college, everything is going to be clean, pristine. You're not going to trip over any blades, clumps of grass. But at the lower levels, it gets really, really difficult.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing. I mean, really, kind of any industry. I think.
Yeah. I was thinking about golf in the same scenario.
Yeah.
Like you're growing up on a muni, but the better you get, you're playing on better courses, better equipment. But it's I can see how that works with comedy because they're coming to see you. They know you.
Yes.
They're familiar with you and your style, and so then they're going to ultimately be more prone to get engaged and all that. Versus at an open mic, there might be people that are just trying to have a drink and they're not really listening or paying attention.
Oh, yeah.
So it's gotta be
they're
weird.
thinking about what they're going to say when they get up because it's all the other comics in the crowd.
Yeah.
And two, and the bigger the room, at least I've noticed this anecdotally, the bigger the room, you just need a couple people to start the laughter train.
Yeah.
And the bigger the room, the more opportunity you have for those couple people to get everybody involved.
Yeah.
But then, when you're in smaller rooms and especially with other comics, it's really, really difficult to start off. But golf is a great analogy. Yeah, if you're playing on the local public public course. There's going to be divots that aren't
Bumpy
fixed.
greens,
It's going to be all a mess. But once you get good enough to play on the good courses, you also all of a sudden don't have the other problems that come with the course itself.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
it's an interesting kind of dynamic, especially, and I think that probably can apply to a lot of different things.
Yeah, I think that's a good point.
Yeah,
We got a
love
little
this
section,
session.
Jobob, that's called Rapid
I like the horn.
Fire. You gotta have
I'm
the
a big
horn.
fan of the horn.
Yeah. Okay. You threw an extra one in there for you. Okay.
Again.
Give them the rules, Max.
All right, rules are they have to answer as fast as possible.
Oh, no.
Without any explanation.
Oh, I'm going to try to answer as fast as possible without any expletives.
Okay, that too. That too. All right, let's go.
3, 2, 1, let's go.
Okay, coolest invention in your lifetime.
Coolest invention, the internet. Well, did you say cool or evil?
Coolest.
Same thing, internet.
Okay.
Why did a chicken cross the road?
Because he was getting deported.
Well, I don't
What
know.
is the best book you've read?
East of Eden, John Steinbeck.
Well,
All right, would you rather die to a great white shark or flaming hot volcano?
Great white shark.
All right.
If you had a superpower, what would it be?
To fly.
Would you rather fight a 1,000-pound duck or 1,001-pound ducks?
Wait, okay, 1,000-pound duck or 1,001-pound ducks?
Yes.
1,001-pound ducks.
All right.
Easy.
Will?
Interesting. Okay. Yeah.
A
So would you
1,000-pound duck?
rather
That's
be-
insane.
Would you rather
it's
be?
like a horse-sized duck.
Yeah.
Would you rather be pure vegetarian or pure carnivore for
A
the
pure
rest
carnivore.
of your life?
Pure carnivore.
All right.
Yeah.
Last one, right, Will? Have you ever been stuck in a bathroom stall without toilet paper?
Hasn't everybody? Isn't that like a rite of
I
passage?
know, it's literally everyone. It happens to me.
I
Yeah.
know. It's,
So, thank you for coming on our podcast.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. This
We'll-
is fun.
Yeah, we'll call it a wrap, but it was a pleasure having you on.
Yeah,
We
this is-
appreciate what you do, bringing
Thanks.
light to crazy topics and crazy events and keeping it light. That's really important for the
Thanks.
movement.
I think we're turning a corner too, where everything's going to be awesome. So I'm excited for that mood change too.
Yeah,
So,
for sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right.
Fun.
Well,
All
thanks
right,
again.
thank you.
thank
yeah.
you.
Thanks, guys.
All right.
That was cool. That was really cool, actually.
This is fun.
That's the goal.